Total madness. Erling Haaland bursts into tears after the elimination of Manchester City by the Champions League and makes a shocking statement about Vinicius Jr., who scores 2 goals, destroys City in the Etihad, and takes Real Madrid to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. But before continuing with all the details of this historic night, subscribe to the channel now. Leave that Picaro like and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any news from our Real Madrid. It's fast, it's totally free, and it helps us a lot to bring all the latest news from the biggest club in the world to you. Come on, I count on your support, Merengue fans. Real Madrid fans, something absolutely spectacular happened last night at the Etihad Stadium in Manchester. Real Madrid beat Manchester City 2-1 in the round of 16 of the Champions League and sealed the passport for the quarterfinals of the most important club football competition. And the big name of this historic victory, Vinicius Jr., who simply put the game in his pocket and showed the whole world why he is considered one of the best players on the planet at this time. The confrontation was expected with anxiety by millions of fans around the world. On the one hand, the powerful Manchester City of Pep Guardiola, with his multi-million-dollar squad, and playing at home, with the support of his deafening fans. On the other hand, Real Madrid, the biggest champion in the history of the Champions League, arriving in England with the mission of seeking the classification. The tension was enormous. Everyone knew it would be a gigantic tactical battle, a duel of titans where any detail could make a difference. And when the referee beeped the start of the game, what was seen was a very high-tech game. Manchester City tried to impose their style of play with a lot of possession of the ball, as is characteristic of Guardiola's teams. But Real Madrid was perfectly prepared, well positioned tactically, and, mainly, had its great differential. Vinicius Jr. playing at an absolutely stratospheric level. According to information published by the newspaper Marca, one of the most respected in Spain, Vinicius Jr. was simply unattainable during the 90 minutes. According to the publication, every time the Brazilian received the ball in that left wing, Real Madrid's fans got up from the stands and Manchester City's defense was in total panic. The newspaper has also highlighted that Real Madrid's back seven was the real engine of the team, commanding attack plays and creating constant danger to the goal defended by Ederson. The numbers of the game are simply impressive and show the dominance of Vinicius Jr. The Brazilian opened the scoring even in the first half, showing an absurd coldness in front of one of the best goalkeepers in the world. It was a spectacular individual play, one of those that only the great cracks can do in decisive moments. He received the ball, accelerated with that characteristic speed that leaves any defense eating dust, dribbled the mark with impressive ease and shot to the corner, without opportunity for Ederson. Etihad Stadium was silent. It was Real Madrid opening the score at the opponent's house, but the game was far from over. Manchester City reacted as expected from a Guardiola-caliber team. They went up, pressed, created chances, and managed to tie the game. The tension grew again. The score was 1-1, and anything could happen. It was at that moment that Real Madrid needed a hero, someone who would assume responsibility and decide the game. And guess who appeared once again? That's right, Vinicius Jr. In the discounts of the final stage, when everyone already thought that the game would end tied, the play that will be marked forever in the history of this Champions League happened. Vinicius Jr. received the ball there in the midfield, looked forward and saw space. With that physical explosion that only he has, the Brazilian started at full speed through the left sector of the attack. City's mark tried to accompany, but it was impossible. Vini Jr. was on an inspired night, playing that Brazilian, cheerful, and extremely efficient Picaro football. He was taking the ball close to his foot, changing direction with absurd ease, leaving the scorers behind. At 92 minutes into the game, when fatigue was already dominating the legs of everyone in the field, Vinicius Jr. still had plenty of energy to give that decisive sprint. He entered the area, dribbled one more scorer, and shot firmly, tracking, at an angle. Goal of Real Madrid, goal of Vinicius Jr. Etihad Stadium exploded in a party for the Merengue side, while on the other side, there was only despair and disbelief. According to information released by the main European sports portals, with these 2 goals scored on English soil, Vinicius Jr. achieved the impressive 34-goal mark in the history of the Champions League. And do you know who he matched? with the legendary German striker Gerd Müller, one of the greatest scorers of all time. This is simply historical, fans. A Brazilian player, barely 25 years old, is already at the same statistical level of true legends of world football. But the numbers don't stop there. With this spectacular performance, Vinicius Jr. reached 121 total goals with the Real Madrid shirt, matching another important name in the club's history, the Argentine Gonzalo Higuaín. With that, the Brazilian officially joined the group of the 15 greatest scorers in the history of Real Madrid. And look, we are talking about a club with more than 120 years of history, which already had absurd cracks like Cristiano Ronaldo, Raul, Di Stefano, Puskas, and so many others. Being among the top 15 is simply phenomenal. What impresses most about Vinicius Jr., in addition to his exceptional technical ability and his amazing speed, is his ability to appear at the most important moments. The direct elimination games of the Champions League are extremely tense, with gigantic pressure, and not every player manages to perform as well in those decisive confrontations. But Vinicius Jr. is different. He seems to grow when the game gets more difficult. According to analysis by specialists published in the daily Mundo Deportivo, the Brazilian striker has already scored 4 goals in this edition of the direct elimination of the Champions League, including the many scored against Benfica in the playoffs. This number equals his personal record in the qualifying stages, which was achieved in the 2023-2024 season, when Real Madrid won the 15th Continental Cup in its history. In other words, when the Champions League enters the decisive phase, Vinicius Jr. always appears to make the difference. With this crucial 2-1 victory at the Etihad Stadium, Real Madrid is now in an extremely comfortable position to confirm the classification in the second leg, which will be played at the Santiago Bernabéu. Playing at home, with the support of the Merengue fans, and with an advantage in the added scorer, is a situation that favors the Spanish team a lot. And with Vinicius Jr. at that absurd level of football, playing with confidence, speed, and a lot of efficiency, the chances of qualifying are very high. The next target for Vinicius Jr. on the historic list of Real Madrid scorers is the Spanish Painho, who scored 126 goals for the team in the 1950s. There are only 5 goals left for the Brazilian to surpass that mark more and climb even more in the hierarchy of the club's top scorers. Given the impressive shape it is presenting, the expectation in the backstage of Real Madrid is that this record is broken even this season, probably even before the Champions League final. But if the night was pure joy and celebration for the side of Real Madrid, for Manchester City, it was the complete opposite. Desperation took over from the English players when the referee whistled the end of the game, confirming the elimination in the round of 16. And it was there, in that moment of deep sadness, that one of the most striking and exciting scenes that football has witnessed in recent years occurred. Erling Haaland, the Norwegian giant, the guy who is known for his coldness on the pitch, for his power of decision, and for his absurd number of goals, simply collapsed. The television cameras captured the exact moment when the Manchester City number 9 could no longer contain the emotion. He fell on his knees on the grass of Etihad Stadium and began to cry copiously. They were not discreet tears, no. It was a sincere, deep cry of someone who was truly destroyed by the painful elimination. The scene would be shocking if it stopped there. But what happened next raised everything to another level. Haaland was called for the traditional post-match interview, the one that the main players of the game are forced to give to the press. He walked to the mixed area, still visibly emotionally shocked. The eyes were completely red, swollen with so much crying. The voice was hoarse, failing in every word. It could be seen that defeat had hurt the soul of the Norwegian. Everyone who was accompanying that interview hoped that Haaland would complain about something. Maybe blame the referee for some controversial decision, or talk about how the city had bad luck, or say that they deserved to have won. But no, what the Norwegian striker did was something completely unexpected, and that shows the greatness of his character. Instead of looking for excuses or justifications for the elimination, Haaland preferred to be giant in the defeat and openly admit that, on the other hand, there was a player playing at an absolutely exceptional level. Wiping the tears that did not stop running down his face, Erling Haaland went straight to the point. He praised Vinicius Jr. and said with all the letters, without beating around the bush, that Real Madrid's back seven is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the best players in the world today. According to Haaland, it is practically impossible to stop Vinicius Jr. when he is at that level of confidence and physical form, and the Norwegian went further in his analysis. He explained that the big problem when facing Vinicius Jr. is not just the exceptional technical ability he has, nor the fact that the ball seems to literally stick to the feet of the Brazilian. The real nightmare for the defenders, according to Haaland's own words, is that Vini manages to put together all that absurd technique at an impressive speed, almost inhuman. He is very fast at everything he does. You think you managed to keep up with him, and he already passed you, said the City attacker, even trying to process the elimination. Hearing that kind of statement from the main player of the opposing team, at a time of so much sadness and frustration, only shows the size of the respect that Vinicius Jr. won in European football. Haaland did not need to do that. He could have simply given a protocol interview, spoken generalities, and left. But no, he made a point of publicly recognizing the superiority of the Brazilian that night. That's respect from crack to crack. That's recognizing the reality of the game. Haaland's scene, crying and then praising Vinicius Jr., immediately went viral on social media. Millions of people around the world shared the exciting video. Real Madrid fans were proud to see the recognition that his crack is receiving. And even the Manchester City fans, despite the sadness of the elimination, recognized the class and humility shown by Haaland in that difficult moment. Merengue fans, let's talk quickly about some numbers that show the size of what Vinicius Jr. is doing in this Champions League. As we mentioned, he reached 34 goals in the history of the competition, equaling Gerd Müller. But there is more. Manchester City became the second largest international victim of the Brazilian in the career, falling behind only Liverpool, which already suffered 5 goals from our back seven. And there is a very important detail. Vinicius Jr. is just a few goals away from entering the top 10 of all-time Champions League top scorers. That's how you hear it. A 25-year-old Brazilian about to join the group of the top 10 scorers in the history of the most important club football competition. It is surreal, it is historical, it is a reason for great pride. And the trend is that those numbers continue to grow. Because Real Madrid is still alive in the Champions League and is going to look for the title of the 16th Continental Cup. With Vinicius Jr. at that stratospheric level, everything is possible for our Real Madrid. Do you know what was the big issue in the locker rooms after the game? The impossibility of stopping Vinicius Jr. According to information released by journalists who were in the mixed area of the Etihad Stadium, several Manchester City players confided that they simply could not find a tactical solution to cancel the Brazilian during the game. Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest coaches in the history of football, known for his capacity for tactical analysis and meticulous preparation, set up a special scheme to try to contain Vinicius Jr.